Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to the Introduction to Jira tutorial. In this tutorial, we will explore how Jira can be used for managing agile projects, particularly in Scrum. Okay, we have a number of agile frameworks. We have Scrum, we have Kanban, we have Lean, we have quite a few. But here we are going to use Scrum with Jira. Okay, so um, before diving into Jira, it's important to understand the crucial stage of requirement gathering, where stakeholders communicate their desired features and functionalities to the team, right? This involves capturing user stories and organizing them into epics. So, in this tutorial, let's imagine we are developing Facebook and explore its features, epics, and user stories. So, I'm assuming you know something about Scrum and the Agile framework so that you can be able to understand the language, right? You should be able to understand keywords like user story, epics, features. You should be able to understand a word like sprint, okay? Well, if you don't, I would introduce them, but not in depth. I have a tutorial on Scrum. You can go and then get more depth into these subjects. So we will also talk about backlog refinement, but not so much in this session. In the subsequent videos, I'll be looking at it. Okay, so let's imagine we are building Facebook. What is Facebook? Okay, I believe majority of us know Facebook. What actually makes Facebook, right? Facebook, what makes Facebook different from YouTube? What makes Facebook different from Google? What makes Facebook different from Zillow? What makes Facebook different from, let's say, Jira, Atlassian? Yes. What actually makes all these different is the features. Okay. So, features is what actually tell what a particular software does. If I go to Facebook right now, what are the features? In Jira, we call these features epics. Okay. You can also call these features user stories. So, what actually are the difference? Let's quickly go and look at what Facebook looks like, assuming you don't also know how Facebook looks like. Now we are on the interface of Facebook, right? On the left pane, you can see features like friends, feeds, groups, marketplace, watch, memories, saved, pages, news. Yes, what do all these things do? I believe we all know friends. You click on friends, you see a lot of your friends. You click on groups, you see all sort of groups, groups that love soccer, groups that love football, groups that love NBA, groups that love wrestling, groups that love philosophy, name them. Groups of Republicans, Democrats, certain genders, all these things you can find on Facebook. We come to Marketplace. When you click on Marketplace, what do you want to do? You're able to post things, you're able to sell things, you're able to buy things. So these are the various features. Each one of them contains a lot of other smaller features, right? So let's see some more. Let's see this one. We have events, we have gaming video, we have a messenger for kids, we have orders and payments. Okay, let's say we click on feeds. What are we going to get? When we click on feeds, we get something like this. Let's say this one is talking about um, Forbes, and then Forbes is talking about Apple's Vision Pro headset. Okay, so this is what you get from going to Facebook, right? One button leading to the other button, okay, leading to the other content and then the next content. That is what it is. And then you'll be able to use it to how you want it, okay? So a majority of us, I bet, haven't used most of these features, okay? Majority of us haven't used most of these features. I, for one, I have used just a few of them. I'm not sure I've used something like Fundraiser before. I've not done gaming video before. I've not done MetaQuest. I've not gone to Messenger Kits. I've not even tried order and payments before. You probably have. Great. So what are epics and user stories? Let's go back to it. Okay. So epics, in simple terms, an epic is a large body of work that can be broken down into smaller, more manageable user stories. It represents a high-level requirement or broader feature that typically cannot be completed in a single development iteration. So epic is a bigger umbrella, and under epic comes user stories. Epic cannot be completed within a sprint. Another word again, sprint. Okay. In agile development, we break the work down, okay, into smaller iterations or timelines, and we call these sprints. It spans from, let's say, a week or less than a week to up to a month. So epic must be bigger than any sprint that you assign for your work. Okay. And what are user stories? Okay. User story is an informal general explanation of a software feature written from the perspective of the end user. Its purpose is to articulate how a software feature will provide value to the customer. User stories are often written using a simple template. As a user, I want to, so that, okay, so as a user, that's as a persona, I want to, purpose, a goal, so that, reason, okay, or benefit. So we have the epic. Let's see how features. Well, we saw features. Okay, we saw features. Let's see what these are. These are examples of epics, and I told you we can also call it features. Okay, so for the Facebook, we are going to build. We are going to have, let's say, a team of 2 sets, or how many teams should we use for building Facebook? Let's say we have 3 teams that want to build Facebook. I am part of your team, and our team, we are going to pick 5 epics to develop. The other teams are also going to pick 5. Another team is probably going to pick 6 or whatever number. Okay, and then we are all going to work to bring Facebook to life. So what are the features? We have the feed, we have the messenger, we have the profile customization, we have the groups, we have the events. The only thing is that sometimes the wording for an epic may be different, but it's simply a feature. So let's say when we say feed in an epic language, we may want to say epic enhance news feed algorithm experience. Messenger will be the epic. We may say improve messenger experience. Let's say profile customization, we could say profile personalization and customization. So group collaboration and engagement. So epics are simply these big features that cannot be completed within a sprint. Okay, and therefore must be broken down into user stories, right? So let's break down one epic and see what we get there. Profile customization is quite big. It cannot be completed within one sprint. It may even span more than one sprint. Okay, so let's see how we will do it. So we come to profile customization. Okay, so what should come together to form a profile customization? We call it user stories from the perspective of the user. When the user comes to Facebook and wants to use the profile, what should it look like? So we list them in user stories. He says, as a user, I want to upload a profile picture to personalize my account and make it easily recognizable to my friends. That's one user story. And then we will estimate it later, not in this session, not at all. Okay, this is just the requirement gathering stage. Two, as a user, I want to add cover photo that represents my personality or showcases my interests. So you get it. That's the second user story. That will also be different. Another person will be developing this. Okay. Three, as a user, I want to arrange and display my featured photos on my profile to highlight important moments or achievements. Another user story. As a user, I want to update my profile information such as my bio, work, education, and contact details to keep my friends informed about my current status. So that's why you see something like age, about, work, education. So these are all different things we do. Photos, we do this, all sort of entries, right? So we call these user stories. Is you put yourself in the shoes of the user to create a meaningful feature or a meaningful epic. Great. So let's go to, let's say, feed. What would be the user story? Let me just do two of them. We could probably do more when we get to Jira itself. Let's say feed. What do we do in feed? As a user, I want the news feed to show me the most relevant and engaging content from my friends, pages, and groups. As a user, I want to have control over the types of content I see in my feed and the ability to customize my preferences. I don't just want everything or anything. I want to be able to customize it. There are certain things I'm interested in, there are certain things I'm not. And the things I'm interested in, I want to see more of those. So you can be able to do what? Customize it. Okay, so this is how we do it for building any software. Okay, it doesn't matter. It can be an online banking software. Okay, it can be a software for a health service. It can be for a law firm. Anything it is, you first have to you sit down with the stakeholder, and then you get information from the stakeholder what exactly they want. And then as you listen to the stakeholder and as you write it down, where do you write these things down? It doesn't matter. You could be drafting it on a sheet of paper. It could be a Microsoft Word, wherever. And then after this, you transfer it into the Jira software. So whatever it is, you just engage the stakeholder, know what the stakeholder wants, and then you categorize them or you group them into features or epics, and then you break them down, you ask them further questions. Requirement gathering stage is very, very important. It will determine the success of your project. So you have to ask questions as a product owner, or as a team, you have to ask the stakeholder questions, detailed questions. Sometimes what the stakeholder is imagining is not so doable, or it may require more time, or it be more expensive. So you interact with this stakeholder and then you fine tune their requirements. Okay. And then when you have done this with the stakeholder, it's not done. We will come to another session where we call backlog refinement. Okay. So how does Jira come into play when it comes to these things? Jira has its own um, project lifecycle. For Jira, it says when you are starting a new project, okay, from that stage, you come to the backlog. Okay, the backlog is where you make all the entries of whatever the stakeholder is saying, whatever the stakeholder's requirement is, the features or the epics, and the other features or the other user stories. I mean, the smaller feature. Okay, so epic user stories, and then you come to what we call new version. Okay, version is simply the timelines you are giving to your work. So let's say we are going to develop epic 1, and then it will be in version 1, or it will be in version 1 and it will also go to version 2. So it depends. It can be a version 1, a version 2, a version 3. These talk about the release timelines of your project, so we call it versions. You can also call it release. And then it comes to work. Work is actually when the developers have started working. This is the implementation stage. Okay. And then finally, you release. Okay. You finally release or you deploy. And then the final stage is reporting. So the whole thing we are trying to do is be able to work, plan everything. The most important thing is the planning stage. You want to plan everything so well so that developers can actually start their work. Okay, so this is the steps to the first sprint. I mean, before you actually start working, these are the steps. First is that you have to gather requirements. And these requirements, you write them. That's the second stage. You write them as you ask questions or as they feed you with their requirements. You write them in user stories and epics. You prioritize these user stories. We also come to that point, and you can get more details in user story prioritization in my Scrum tutorials. And then we have backlog refinement. Backlog refinement, we have AC clarification. AC simply stands for acceptance criteria. And then you estimate these user stories. From all these, if you have a well-refined backlog, we will go into what a healthy backlog actually should look like when we get into Jira, okay? When you have a healthy, refined backlog, then you can jump. We will say you are done with sprint. You can jump into sprint planning. Sprint planning, where you are assigning who should be doing what and what actually should be done. And then you also track the progress of your work. So this is how we do software development, and this is the process in Jira. Okay. Great. So I hope you have been able to understand how these processes actually go on. We will be moving to the next session on how to set up Jira. Thank you for joining me in this session. If you've enjoyed what we have shared so far, kindly subscribe and then meet you in the next videos. Thank you.